Hey everybody, how's it going? See the chat's already blown up. That's awesome. We got a lively group. That's a good thing. Cool. But yeah, so my name's Gabe, or Gabriel, whichever you want to go with. G works too. All good. But thank you all so much for hopping in this call and taking time out of your day to learn a little bit more about some of our new nutrition features. Some stuff that's already out that we can go over, of course, and definitely I'll show you guys some new stuff. Um, can mention some plans for the future too about things we're looking to incorporate. As you probably imagined, and you're seeing this on that slide right there, but we're really AI forward, and we're really doing that just to try to make things as easy as possible for coaches, where the AI isn't really coming up with any information. It's still input by the coach, but the AI is just basically taking care of tasks and to-dos, all to just make it easier for you to scale nutrition or really lots of other features. We have an AI workout builder too that I'm sure some of y'all have messed with. But yeah, all designed to help coaches scale high touch services at whatever kind of level of client that you're looking to get to. So, all right, looks like we had a few more people trickle in there a couple minutes after. So, sounds good. We'll get things rolling. So, yeah, so my name's Gabe or Gabriel, whichever you want to do. And I've been a coach on Everfit for about 2 years. And I've been an employee at Everfit for about 1 year. And basically, the platform made a huge difference to me as far as my business and what I thought was just possible and affordable to do online. And I figured, why not work for these guys, basically help other coaches the way that I too found a solution for a lot of my problems. So that's what kind of led me here. I've maybe even met some of y'all on a call in the past. Um, but sweet. Otherwise, we'll get rolling here. So, with that chat, if you do have questions, feel free to throw those in that chat. There will be kind of a official Q&A at the end of this, so you can hold your questions till the end. I may answer them like organically as we go through. But with that, I see William, you already got a question. I personally right now cannot share that link, but I believe you'll be able to send that invite from a confirmation email that you got previously, like for this. If you just forward that email to that person, they should be able to join. If not, a recording of this will be sent out later to y'all. So you could send them that recording there too. Um, Cool. And then I see another question there, but I'm going to wait on that one just a sec because we will kind of cover the recipe upload. Automatically publish. Cool. Sweet. So, all right, let's get rolling here. So, main goals of today, we're going to go over some new AI features, some stuff that's already out, but just to show you guys some things that are being released really soon. Talk about the three main ways you can deliver nutrition coaching on our platform, and then we can go over some real life workflow examples too. So sweet. So with that, we do have a lot of AI power tools, as I mentioned, all about personalization at scale and enhancing variety and creativity for clients to both allow you to use our recipe system and to upload recipes from anywhere. With our AI recipe builder, you can use URLs from any website and easily upload those into the system. So before I get to that, I want to talk about our AI meal plan. This is currently a kind of beta generator, or in a beta phase. We're still testing this internally, but this should be coming out really, really soon. This feature is really awesome. It's something that's been asked for a really long time. What you will be able to do is set a client's dietary preferences. So you'll be able to say a priority for that client, whether it's macros, calories, protein and calories. You'll be able to set which meals you want to actually incorporate into the plan. And you'll also be able to set caloric targets or macro targets based on gram or percentage. And then you'll also be able to input any dietary restriction. In the future, the client will also be able to basically tell as a preference if they just don't like a certain food. So if they don't want to eat salmon or something, for example, it's just not like their favorite, not necessarily a dietary restriction, but just like a pure preference. You'll be able to input those too. So it will kind of flag those meals for you. And on that question, yeah, with that most recent question, you would be able to basically say eggs are not acceptable on that. And that would be basically something you could just thumbs down and then take away. So Sweet. So I'll show you guys how that works in a little bit, but it's really, really powerful because once you have these dietary preferences set, you can build a meal plan in just one button. You basically just hit that generate meal button that you see on the slide, and that will build a meal plan for your client. And you can do that per day, or you can do it for a whole week. Currently, the way it's going to be, it'll just be a day and a week, but ultimately, you'll be able to build out still 26 weeks worth of meal plans using that AI generator. So another AI tool that we have, it's really powerful, is our AI recipe builder. And this is really awesome. This just lets you upload PDFs, text, or URLs, and it'll create a recipe in our system in about 15 to 20 seconds. It's basically just going to scrape all the data available from the website and convert that into our system. With that, it's going to have all the same functionality of the recipes that we have. So it'll say ingredients, it'll show instructions for the client for prep, for if there is any prep for that meal, marinating, things like that, as well as cooking instructions. And then, of course, the nutritional info will be in there too. When that recipe is uploaded, the coach will still be able to edit anything in that recipe that you want. So you can still go in, add protein to it, remove an ingredient if a client's allergic to something. So you'll still have all the functionality that you would if you created the recipe from scratch. The AI builder really just lets you copy paste a link, hit generate, and in about 20 seconds, you'll have that recipe ready to go. The most recent feature that we're developing, and this one's going to be coming out really soon, is going to be our new Macro Snap beta. And if you're familiar with the platform, our three main nutrition tabs on the client page is food journal, macros, and then meal plans. So the food journal, as it stands today, it's just a place for clients to upload photos of food for very easy tracking for both the client and the coach. They can upload any photo with a caption as well as a timestamp, so they can say what the meal was, report the macros manually, stuff like that, and the coach can like and comment on it. What this macro snap beta is going to do, as that image is kind of suggesting, it will take a photo, the same photo that the client would upload, and it can actually scan and estimate the macronutrients of that meal. And then the client can basically double check it, make sure everything looks right, and then report those macros easily. They basically would just upload the same photo, same process they would have done before, but now it will basically track actually data for them. So obviously great for the coach to be able to actually see what's going on, and then can be really informative for the client too, to see like, what the macros they're actually eating are, so they can get a little bit more info. This same photo feature on the food journal will also let clients scan barcodes as well as scan food labels and upload those as well. So if they don't want to take a picture of the meal, or if they're eating like a protein bar or bag of chips, whatever it is, they can just scan those labels, scan the barcode, and that's going to report the macros automatically too. The client will be able to adjust the serving sizes up and down as well. So if they had multiple servings or 1.5 bars, something like that, they can always make that adjustment too. Awesome. So a couple questions in there. Will it convert to grams, or does the coach have to do that? So if you do the AI builder, it's going to pull in exactly as it was from the website. So depending on if the website is more, if it's American, it's probably going to be in cups or like more like volume. If depending on where it came from, it may source that in grams as well. The coach will still be able to edit that. When that information does come in, you can just convert that on your own. Again, any recipe that you upload with the URL or a PDF, once it's produced, you'll still be able to edit it any way that you want to. So you can convert everything to gram, no problem. We don't have a system currently that would automatically do that. While you can convert the whole platform from the imperial system to the metric system, it's not going to automatically convert recipe data at this time. That would basically be on the coach, as well as potentially, on the coach to source recipes that are listed in gram, because then those would definitely come through automatically. But if you go to the website and it's in cups, it's in tablespoons, stuff like that, then you will have to manually change that. Excuse me. And let's see. So will this all be fully searchable and replace my Fitness Pal and Chronometer? So you can still, Megan, you can still have both features on for a client. And the macros reported from this new Macro Snap feature will also report on the macros page. So your client can use a combination of my Fitness Pal, Chronometer, and the Macro Snap. It's really up to that client. And of course, as long as you have those features turned on, they'll be able to do all the above. Another question, can you edit recipes that are already in the system? Yeah, 100%. You can definitely edit recipes on any recipe. If you hover your mouse over it, there's 3 dots in the top right, and you can click that, and that duplicates the recipe. And then you can make any edits to it that you want, and you can make as many duplications as you want as well. So if you want to have like, a vegan version, a version without nuts, soy version, anything like that, you can absolutely build that out. With clients being able to add notes about things like hunger, fullness. So on the food journal, they'll definitely still be able to upload notes. Otherwise, that could always be a survey that you create as a task and send that client daily. If you want to get some more like extra reporting about satiety, cycle notes, anything like that, that would be great to do as a task. Cool. I'm going to keep rolling through these slides here, but I see some questions are coming through. Thank you guys for doing that. And please bear with me. Yes, I'm going to one real quick, Patty. Yes, this will be recorded and sent, and you guys can rewatch it too. Next plan's about meal plans and recipe books, which is perfect because that's exactly where we're going next. So with our meal plans and recipes that are built into the system, there's really 5 ways to deliver it. 3 are kind of the main, like clearly surface features, and then you can add a couple other things in there to really add that 4th and 5th option. So we have structured meal plan, flexible meal plan, and then on-demand recipe books. So the structured meal plan is very strict. It's basically you assigning whichever meals, let's say breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The client doesn't have any choice to change anything. It's basically that's what you're assigning them, and that's what they're going to do. So very high touch, definitely used mostly by dietitians looking to be, very, very strict with their delivery. Flexible meal plan is very popular. It allows the client to swap recipes. So if you assign chicken, they'd rather eat beef, the client can just choose that on their own. And it will, when the client goes to swap a recipe, it's going to show recipes that match the macros from whatever meal you had assigned. So it's not like you're going to assign chicken and rice and they're going to be like, oh, sweet, I'm just going to have ice cream and like be able to swap that out. It would basically sub out a very, very similar dish in terms of those macro qualities. And then we've also got the recipe book option. So the recipe books is really purely on demand. You'll be able to create recipe books and you can create as many as you want. Add recipes to those books, which you can also fully brand out. You can choose like the cover image, the title of the recipe book itself. You can choose a description to have any other descriptors for that. And then from there, you'll be able to allow the clients to basically choose recipes whenever they want to. So that in itself is kind of a fully on-demand experience. Beyond that, you can also add recipe books to the structured meal plan and the flexible meal plan. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. But as you can imagine, it sort of gives the option for the coach to assign a couple meals. Maybe you assign breakfast and lunch, but then you can build in some freedom. They can pick their own recipe from a book for dinner or something like that. All of which can be basically turned on at the exact same time. You would just do that from the client's settings page. And this can be done per client. So with structured meal plans, again, offers really more of a strict dietary guideline where they basically are getting the meals that you are assigning and that's what they got. So if you want to be very strict, really not necessarily building in a ton of freedom for your client, structured meal plans is the way to go. Flexible meal plans lets clients swap these recipes out, which again will always align with their macro target when they do that. So they're not just going to be able to swap out junk food. Not that we have any junk food in the recipe library, as you can imagine. And it's great for clients that, need a little bit of guidance, but you still want to kind of give them a little bit of freedom to make their own choices. Even for a new client, if you don't necessarily know what types of food they like, it allows you to sort of give them a week, give them a couple weeks to pick their own stuff. And then you get a feel for, where the client's really at in terms of their both kind of cooking ability as well as their preference for diet. And then finally, recipe books, purely on demand here. You can create those books, brand those out any way you want. Clients can jump in, grab those recipes and choose them whenever they want to. On that note, with any recipe a client chooses, they will also be able to create shopping lists, and any recipe assigned or that they choose, they can pick the whole days, they can pick the whole week, select recipes of, variously all the breakfasts, whatever they want. And then they can create a little shopping list too, and it gives them a nice checklist when they go to the grocery store. And of course, that list will aggregate all the recipes. So if like one recipe has one egg, the other one has two eggs, it's not going to say one egg, two eggs. It's going to say get three eggs. So it'll be able to combine all that stuff really well too. And then finally, for kind of version 4 and 5, this is what lets you combine recipe books to the structured and the flexible meal plans, which again allows you to potentially assign one or several meals for them, and then also giving them the option to choose some snacks. Many different ways that can be delivered. It really allows for tons of creativity on the coach. Maybe you just let them choose their own like protein snacks, dessert, anything like that. And then you're assigning the rest of the meals. However you want to do that, that can absolutely be built into that program too. So another option is building the nutrition into your onboarding flow. So if you're familiar with our automations, both the auto flow and the onboarding flow, the onboarding flow is designed to automate stuff for the client to get basically as soon as they sign up. So you can have check-in forms, any kind of waiver, medical history document that you want attached to that. You can have a welcome message. You can have programs and community forum access assigned. You can have on-demand content in there ready to go, as well as recipe books, which is a new thing we added in. And then ultimately you can connect it to an auto flow as well. So you can have it set up. And again, it depends on your product, but if you're putting it out there like, hey, I'm coach so-and-so, I do nutrition coaching. As soon as you sign up with me, you're going to get access to my recipe book straight away. So you can add up to 5 recipe books into that onboarding flow. And of course, you can add more to the client later. But it gives you a little bit of, kind of a find out period to see if they're even going to do those recipes, if they're taking advantage of that. We also have a new nutrition intake form. And as I mentioned earlier, when you can attach those forms to the onboarding tasks for the clients, you can have your waiver, your welcome form, maybe a history about their exercise. And then you can also now have a nutrition intake form. This will automatically collect those dietary preferences. And again, when compounding that with the dietary preference meal plan generator, you can basically have all their preferences set and ready to roll. So when you're ready to create that meal plan, you already know exactly what they want, what their goals are. They've probably already done a couple workouts at that point, and then bam, you can just hit the AI. It'll generate those meal plans straight away, and you'll be able to sit back and just watch your client be successful. Take a look at how all these features actually look on the platform. So a lot of where you're going to do the nutrition action for your clients is going to be from their profile by clicking on their names. But I'll show you some of the meal plan options in the library space first. So with our meal plan template option, where you can build meal templates, the recipe option is where you can edit recipes as well as add in your own. So to duplicate anything that we have, you can hover over any of them. In the top right, you'll see those 3 dots. You can hit duplicate, and then you'll be able to edit them any way you want. You can add protein to it. You can change the name, ingredients, anything at all that you want to change. The instructions can be changed too. And with the nutritional info, if you want your edits to this page to reflect the nutritional info, you'll want to make sure that's turned on and hit confirm. And then we can see here, let's see, we got our protein at 23.92. If I go to ingredients, let's double it. Why not? Let's come on back and look at that. We're at 45.12. So that's how you get the auto calculation and auto adjustments, and that'll do the calories as well. If you change any of the ingredients, all you got to do then is hit save, and then you're good to go with this new copy. Additionally, with our recipes, we've got the ability to create recipes from scratch as well as the AI recipe builder. So this will let you copy paste in a URL to this space or upload a PDF directly, or basically just write the recipe by hand, or you can copy paste it in. When you hit generate, it's going to build that recipe out for you in about 10 to 15 seconds. And that recipe will come loaded with all the functionality and things that you see on ours, whether it be ingredients, instructions for prep and cooking, and nutritional info, of course, too. So beyond that, your ingredient libraries where you can edit ingredients, and then the recipe books is where you can build those out. So when you create a recipe book, the first thing you'll do is assign that image and then give it a name. So from here, these are just our 5 examples, but you can create any number that you want, add whatever recipes that you want to them. And yeah, and have these as basically on-demand options for your clients. And I'll show you how to actually apply that to the clients right now. So if I go to a client, jump on over to the meal plan section, this is going to be our structured meal plan look where I can add recipes and assign them to the client. You can scroll through and filter by any dietary restriction as well as just a preference for what type of meal. Dietary restriction filter is going to be right up here. You'll be able to apply those as well as a caloric total and minimum. So you'll be able to add those to the client by selecting one or several recipes, hitting add, and that will assign it. And you'll see their macro targets and bars fill out as you do that. So you can also directly assign a meal plan to that client instead of doing it meal by meal like I'm doing. You can just apply which meal plan you want to give, when you want the plan to actually start, and then just assign, and it's going to bulk upload all those recipes for the client. With recipe books, this is how you could turn them on or off for a specific client. If I go to the settings tab in the top right, not the client settings, just the settings on the meal plan page itself, this is where you can change the actual availability for your clients. So as you'll recall from the webinar, you'll have structured, flexible, recipe books only, and then you can toggle on to add recipe books to either the flexible or the structured. So if I hit save, that's going to be good to go. So now I can have recipe books and assign meals directly to this client. So new feature for that AI meal generator. So you'll see this generate meal option right here. I can go to this dietary preferences tab and then set their dietary preferences. So you can set the macro targets, what meals you want to incorporate, and then apply a dietary restriction. If I go to any blank day here, so we see this macro bar is not filled out, I have no recipes in. If I hit generate meal, it'll ask you to double check these. So you can double check the dietary preference, which meals you want to incorporate, the macros, as well as the priority for macros, calories, and protein and calories. And then you can source them from all recipes or ones you've uploaded or just ones that we have. So you can choose that source. And here we go. So we're going to generate meal and you'll get this cute little graphic here. And again, it'll take about 10, 15 seconds to give recipes that match the dietary preferences that you just set. And we'll get all those for this day. So here we go. So our macro bars are all filled out. We got all our recipes in there and we're good to go. Of course, you can still come in and edit stuff. If you want to copy this meal or copy the day and add it to another day, you can. And I just built that by a day by day aspect, but you can also build it for a whole week. So same idea, you would just hit the same exact generate meal button, set the preferences, and it would just upload those for the entire week instead of a day by day view. And this frame up here will tell you exactly what week you're actually doing that for. So working backwards on our list here with our macros tab, this is where you guys know it's going to integrate with MyFitnessPal and Chronometer, and meals that they log on the meal plan or the food journal will show up here too with the new macro snap feature that I was telling you guys about today. So with that, again, the food journal as it stands today is just photos of food. You can like and comment on that. The client can leave captions and timestamps. But coming out very, very soon, Macro Snap will be able to automatically scan this meal and send in those macros. And then clients will also be able to upload barcode photos and scan barcode or nutritional labels and upload those automatically as well. And always very important from the client's main settings tab to scroll on down and turn on and off any features that you do or don't want. So these being the 3 nutrition features, you'll always have control of what the client can see. You can do the nutrition settings here as well if you want to turn on structured, recipe book, add in the meal plans, etc. And then most importantly as well, this is where I mentioned on the webinar today, you can have a meal plan or meal guidance. And this is specifically effectively kind of a legal coverall. Meal plans is going to be primarily for dietitians. Meal guidance is more for coaches with or without any nutrition certifications to basically say it's a suggestion, not a plan, not claiming any specific results. And basically it's just kind of a liability thing. So cool. Hope that was helpful, y'all. Thanks again for attending the webinar today and hope to hear from you soon.